And she literally just like copy and pasted her bio. And so I'm like, okay, that's a big red flag right there. Hi beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I am talking all about Bumble BFF and my experience with the app after being on it for over a year. If you are unfamiliar with Bumble BFF, it's basically a dating app for friendships. So you might be wondering, how did I get to this place and why am I using an app to find friends? So basically, like most people, as you get older, friends disappear from your life, they move away, they have kids, they get married, they go off to school, and life just sort of happens. And sometimes people change and you find that you just grow apart, and that is completely okay. I love the saying, and I don't really remember like the exact words, but something like, people are in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And so I find that those lifelong friendships are really hard to find, and I still do have those friends and friends from childhood and things like that, but I also would like to make more friends that are basically in the same season in life as myself. I moved to the city that I live in over a decade ago. And let me tell you, it has not been an easy feat to make friends. I have never had issues making friends. I'm quite an introvert, so it does take me a while to warm up to people, but I'm really friendly, I'm really open, and I feel like I'm a really good friend. So when I moved here, I found that it was pretty difficult for me to find people that I could relate to, that had shared some of the same experiences as I have in life, or that had some of the same interests. And I also found that in my city, a lot of people already had their friend group and they weren't really open to letting other people in. And then that paired with the fact that I have not had coworkers in over 8 years. So I used to work for a doctor's office. I had amazing coworkers, but then I graduated college and got married and you know, that kind of thing. And then I got into substitute teaching. So basically with substitute teaching, you are in a new school every day, you're in a new classroom, and you're kind of just moving around all the time. And so it's not consistent. You really don't see the same people over and over unless you work for the same district. And so you can't really spend time with people and become friends. And I also taught guitar for a really long time, so I had social interactions with my students and their parents every single week. And for a while that was enough, but then as my blog grew over the years, I just hit my 6-year anniversary, by the way, so yay! But anyway, as my blog grew over the years, I had to let go of my jobs because it was taking more and more of my time, and you know, that's kind of where I saw my future heading. And so now I'm completely working from home and I don't have coworkers. I don't really talk to anyone except for other bloggers and other content creators online. And so a lot of these relationships are amazing, but they're just purely online. I have met some of them in person and they're amazing people, but we don't live anywhere near each other. And so I was just craving those authentic interactions with someone that was local to me and someone that I could meet up with in person. And so I joined, I believe it was in December of 2019, or maybe a few months before that. I wrote a blog post all about it, so I will leave that in the description below if you want to see my initial thoughts on that. And so I had been on it for a few weeks, and it actually took me a few weeks to even download the app and get on, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. But you know, I tried all of these things. I met up with all of these different groups. I tried to find some hobby groups. I tried to get out and do new things, and I just wasn't really finding what I was looking for. And so I did it, I downloaded it, and I had no idea what I was doing, because when I met my husband back years and years ago. We started dating in 2008. Neither one of us had been on a dating app, and so I had no idea how to use it. I had no idea which way to swipe. I literally like YouTubed it because I didn't want to do the wrong thing. So yeah, I created a bio, I answered all the questions, I put all kinds of pictures on there, but I did not include that I was a fashion blogger. I did not include that my job revolved around Instagram or content creation or social media marketing or anything like that. I did not include my Instagram handle or my website. I wanted people to be interested in me for who I am and my interests and things like that. Because I feel like in the past, there have been times where people have just wanted to be my friend to get something out of me or to kind of further their career. And so I wanted to completely avoid that. I did not want anyone to want to be my friend so that they could increase their own following or further their own career, you know? So once I had everything set up, I started swiping through the app, and no joke, I was done in 2 minutes. There was probably like 6 people and that was it. And so I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought. I initially thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna make so many friends, and that was not the case initially because I live in the middle of nowhere. And so I feel like a lot of people in my area don't really know what Bumble BFF is, and if they do, I don't feel like they really need to use it because a lot of them already have those established friendships or coworkers or, you know, things like that. And so a lot of people are not really looking for that. And then I live literally in the middle of nowhere. I live in the city is a pretty good size, but it has a small town feel. So there's literally nothing around me. There's a bunch of little small towns, but the nearest city is 2 hours, 2.5 hours away. So it's not like LA where there's a million little places around you and you constantly have like people to communicate with and a lot of choices. And so initially I felt quite disappointed because there just weren't a lot of choices for me. And so I thought that maybe I was being a little too niche, and so I expanded the age range and the distance in order to include more people. So then I got my first match. And so basically how it works is when you swipe, I want to say left. When you swipe left, it means that you are not really interested in meeting the person. And then when you swipe right, you're interested. And so if the other person also swipes right on you, then it's a match. And you have 24 hours to get the communication going, otherwise the match expires. And so I got my first match, and she lived more than 60 miles away. Which is fine. I was totally open to meeting people that were outside my area, but then things got a little bit weird. So initially our conversation was really nice and we were getting to know each other. She invited me to this event and I didn't really know her, and it was, you know, over an hour drive, and I work kind of crazy hours, and so I couldn't make it, and I felt bad, but you know, and she was not happy about it, and I don't know, it was just really weird. And then she like blocked me. So I don't know, yeah, it was weird. I thought it was like a good match, but I guess it wasn't. Okay, so then I actually matched with another girl, and I ended up meeting her, and she was really, really nice, and we still keep in touch, and we haven't seen each other since this whole world situation started. And so we've talked over Zoom and we text, and then I matched with some other people, but it didn't really go that far. I feel like a lot of the communication just sort of stops I don't know, it's really weird. And then I matched with this other girl that was actually local, and we were going to set up like a Zoom date, I guess you could say. And it was just really weird because I asked her like what she was interested in, the types of things she liked to do, and she literally just like copy and pasted her bio. And so I'm like, okay, but what else do you like to do? You know, because it was pretty generic. And she's like, I already told you, it's in my bio, did you read? And so I was like, okay, that's a big red flag right there. And so I was really nice and just tried to ask her some more questions, you know, and it was just really like a weird thing, and she just kept like copying and pasting her answers. And so I ended up not Zooming her, and I just like stopped talking to her, and she blocked me. So yeah, it's really interesting. Okay, anyway, so after being on the app for over a year, I've learned a few things. And so the first thing is that people are really judgmental. And I kind of knew this going in. I mean, if it's like a dating app, I feel like a lot of people are basing it off of your looks or off of, I don't know, certain things. So for me, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to photos that much or how the person looked. I was more so looking at their description and what kind of things they like to do, what kind of person they were, and if they would be a good match to me. Because in my past, I've had a lot of relationships that just haven't been healthy, and I noticed a pattern. And so I'm like, you know what? I have to be really intentional with who I surround myself with. I need to make sure that these are the right people for me and where I'm heading in the future and what kind of person I want to become. Because for me, when I find a friend, I'm in it for the long haul. Acquaintances are nice, but I really like connecting really deeply with people, and I would like to have someone that I could grow together with. And so I saw that a lot of these profiles were very surface level. There was a lot of selfies, and so if someone's taking like a selfie in their mirror and they're like wearing barely any clothes, I didn't even give them a chance. And if they didn't put any type of description on there, like they didn't put any interests, or, you know, they just left it blank, I didn't even give them a chance. Because I mean, you know, it's kind of an app for making friends, and if I don't know anything about you, I don't know. And so I feel like I was judgmental in that way. I'm sure that I passed up a lot of good potential friendships because someone didn't put something in their description, or they uploaded dating style profile pictures instead of like, you know, like a normal one. So if you are on the app or wanting to use the app, a little piece of advice that I would give you is to fill everything out and to be as detailed as possible. People are on there to get to know you, so put your interests, like your real interests, not just like the generic interests that everyone else is putting on there, and I will get to that. But put something that is special about you. Be very specific, be very intentional, and be descriptive of who you are and what you are looking for. Point number 2. Everyone seems to have the same interests. And by same interests, I mean everyone loves to hike, loves to do yoga, loves wine, Starbucks, traveling, dogs, paint nights. Okay, you get the idea. So I cannot even tell you how many of those profiles I saw. I would say like 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 profiles had those exact things. And if that's what you like, then that is totally fine. I like those things too, but it doesn't really make you stand out. And so I feel like in this case, being really generic isn't really that helpful. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of those people, I mean, maybe they really like those things, but maybe they are trying to fit in or trying to attract a certain person. Personally, I want to know what makes you different and interesting and what makes you stand out. Like, why should I get to know you? Why should I take a chance on you? I also found that it was hard to find the right people. And by right people, I mean that I think a lot of the people that were on the app in my area specifically, were not looking for friends. They were looking for roommates, gym buddies, hiking buddies, someone to go to the club with, and MLM recruits. And so I am not looking for any of those at all. I am not against like a hiking buddy or a gym buddy or anything like that, but I'm just looking for someone to connect with. And if that means that we go on hikes or something like that, then that's totally fine. But I feel like there are some people on there that are looking for very, very specific things, or they are looking to increase their social media following, or to recruit for their business or sell stuff from their business. And so you kind of have to weed out those people to find like the ones that really are on there for the right reasons. And let me just say that I'm really not that picky. I mean, I'm a little bit more picky than I used to be. I used to just be friends with whoever, but now I realize how much the people that surrounding us impact who we are and where our life goes, and pretty much every aspect of our life. And so I felt like it was really hard to find people on there that were a good match for me. A lot of them were just looking for things that I wasn't looking for, and I feel like it's really good in that aspect, because when someone is looking for something specific and that's it, then that kind of narrows it down for you, and that makes it a lot easier, because then you can find people that you really do connect with and that are looking for the same thing as you. Also, starting a conversation is really, really awkward. So, like I said, I'm an introvert, and me even putting myself out there on this app is like a big deal. And so when I finally match with someone, I don't know what to say. And so I'm just like, hi. And, you know, I've been trying to use conversation starters, looking at their profile and being like, oh, this is really cool, or it's, you know, really neat that you do this, or, oh, I did this too, oh, tell me more about this. And so I think that taking something from their profile and turning it into a conversation piece makes it a little bit easier. And I think they might have like conversation starters. I think I read that somewhere, but I don't know. I haven't used that. I just kind of wing it. But, you know, starting the conversation is just a little bit weird, because most times I would say it doesn't really go anywhere. It's just like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, yeah, hi, how's your weekend? And then, you know, that's it. I just feel like for me, it's a lot easier to connect with someone in person rather than through an app. And the conversation seems to flow a lot more easily, and I feel like I get more energized from having someone's presence there, and it makes me open up a lot more than through an app, because through an app I don't always know what to say. I don't really know what they're thinking. I don't really know like anything about them. And if I'm meeting someone in person, then I feel a lot more comfortable, and it's a lot easier to really see if you have that connection. And people are flaky. Oh my gosh, I did not even realize how flaky people are. So I am on the app with every intention of actually meeting people in person, and I did meet a new friend, and so that went really well. But I would say like 99% of the people on there did not even have an interest in meeting up, or even an interest in like talking. I mean, it's so weird, because you match with someone and I'm trying to like talk to them and get to know them, and then I just get ghosted out of nowhere, and I'm like, what did I do? You know, is it me? So I feel like that can kind of be like a hit on your self-esteem, because you're like, why did they stop talking to me? I thought we were getting along really well. But I just kind of took myself out of the equation, and I'm like, that's okay. There is someone else out there for me. But just know that it is, well, it seems like it is very common for people to not follow through or to not even respond, even after they match, even after they do the work of creating a profile and putting in their description and everything else and like swiping, and then it's like you're there and I don't know what happened. To be fair, there are people that are super introverted and I can totally understand if they freak out and they're like, oh no, you know, so that's totally fine. But I feel like a lot of it is just like people like the idea of having friends and they get on there maybe for like an ego boost to be like, oh, you know, I have all these matches, so people really are interested in me. But I don't feel like a lot of people are actually on there for the connection. And so that can be really hard if I'm on there for the connection, but my match is not on there for the connection. Next, and this is a really big one, location matters. I feel like not everyone is going to have the same experience on this app. If you are in a bigger city, you have way more options, and I feel like you are more likely to find someone that really meshes well with you. And so for me, since I'm in an area that is, you know, a little sparse with population and there aren't any cities around me or anything like that, and people don't really get on the app anyway, it's kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. And so I noticed that I kept running out. So when I would get on there, there would be like 2-3 people, and then it would be like, that's it. And so I noticed that Bumble started extending the distance and the age range. And then I started getting more people, but I started getting more people outside of the area. And so I connected with a few people in LA and some others, but then the conversation either fizzled or they're just too far to meet up, especially right now with everything going on. And so it's just kind of like, you know, one of those things. And lastly, people forget to check the app, myself included. I feel like this is my biggest downfall. I get really, really busy and I work a lot. And so I literally have a to-do list for the most simple things ever. And so I don't really remember to check the app until I see it randomly and I'm like, oh, I gotta check that, you know? And so I get on there and I'm like, and I will get on like a few days later when I remember, and I'll find that I actually had a match, but it expired. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what a bummer, you know, that's totally my fault. And you could rematch for a fee, but I don't really want to pay that. So yeah, it's just a bummer. And then I feel bad because, you know, the other person's like, hello, you know, I could have missed out on a good potential friendship. And so I really have to like remind myself to check the app to see if there are any matches, because they do expire. And I feel like that is kind of one of the downfalls. I wish that it didn't expire within 24 hours because people are not always on their apps. And especially like when I'm out of town and stuff, like I just don't really get on my phone, and so I don't check, and then I come back and I have all of these notifications. And so I feel like they should do that a little bit differently, but I don't know, you know, maybe that's part of the appeal. Okay, so overall thoughts on the app. I think it is a great idea and I can see how it works for so many people, but I feel like this is better if you live in a bigger city or an area with a bigger population. I don't feel like this would be a good option for people in a small town or for people that kind of live in the middle of nowhere, like myself. If you are in a place like LA or Chicago or New York or Dallas, where there are so many people and they likely know about the app, then I feel like your odds are much, much better at finding someone that relates to you and that you could form a really great friendship with. For me, I think that location is a big factor. I feel like a lot of people in my area don't really know about this app and they don't really have a need for it at this time. and then there's just no one around me. And although I'm not opposed to talking to and meeting up with people outside of my area, I feel like the whole reason I joined was to find people that lived in my city and that were in my area that I can meet up with in person. Aside from the location, it depends on the people too. It depends on the type of people, what they're looking for, if they're even looking for a friend. And I think that while people genuinely want to connect, I mean, obviously if they're on an app for making friends, they don't always follow through. I feel like that is a really, really big issue, and not just on this app, but in real life. It's kind of like when you run into an old friend, or you become friends with a coworker or something like that, and you're like, oh, we should go grab dinner, or we should go out for a coffee sometime, and it just never happens. It's kind of like that sort of thing. But again, that's not the fault of the app, and I feel like the app actually makes it easier for people to not follow through because you're not really being held accountable. You could say, oh, we're gonna make plans, but then, you know, they call and say they're not gonna make it, or they just don't show up, or they just like ghost you. So I feel like it's really easy to not connect with people. So it's easy to connect with people, but then it's easy to not connect with people. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that my experience and the lessons learned through using this app have been helpful to you. And if you're in the same boat, I wish you the best of luck with your friendship journey. I mean, we're all friends here, so yeah. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below. Have you used this app before? Do you have any experience with it? Did you have the same experience? If you did something different, let me know. Did you do any meetup groups or, you know, anything like that? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. I will see you guys later. Bye!